Hi, this is Emil Menashe for Mahopac News. Last Sunday, Temple Beth Shalom in Mahopac hosted a forum for the candidates running in local elections. Among them were the 4 candidates running for Carmel Town Board. That included incumbent Republican Frank Lombardi, Democrats Jerome Mitchell and Kathleen Valletta, and Republican Robert Kearns. Also on hand was Mike Stern, who's running as a write-in candidate for highway superintendent. His opponent, the Republican and conservative nominee, Gerard Aller, did not attend, nor did incumbent town supervisor Mike Gazzari, who's running unopposed. The forum started with Frank Lombardi.
Thank you. Yes, oldest. Actually, when I ran for the town board, I was then the youngest who had run for the town board. That's being surpassed recently. But in any event, I was 39 years old. My name is Frank Lombardi. I'm a 20-year resident here, the town of Carmel. I've been on the town board since 2010. Had a 2-year break in between, and I came back 4 years ago. I am first and foremost a dad of 3, 25, 22, 21, 2 boys and a girl. All went to school here. My oldest son actually was a all-state quarterback here in town, and he went to Syracuse University. So that's one of my accomplishments. I'll take credit for that. But in any event, I'm a practicing attorney. I'm a partner at a firm, Pillinger, Miller, Turallo. We do insurance defense work. We're over 75 attorneys in the tri-state area. I've been on the town board since 2010. In this room, I think Jackie and Albie, my very, very close friend, and I are the most senior people here, and Putnam Valley is very, very lucky to have her. What we do at the town board, we manage a budget which is roughly over $40 million when you consider all the special districts and the highway department and things like that. Okay. And in my tenure, I'm proud to say that we've increased the town's reserve fund, which is the town's piggy bank account, and I'll have the document here for you. From when I started, it was $3 million, which is now $15 million. Okay, so we've managed the town's finances very, very well. I've been involved in the community for many, many years, doing lots and lots of different things. I've been a scout leader. I'm an Eagle Scout myself. Coached many, many youth organizations. I'm part of the Chamber of Commerce Street Fair committees that we just recently finished. But I am born and raised in the Bronx, where I was the youngest chairman of a community board in the city for a very, very long time, through 9/11 and what happened there. But I've been coming to this at the invitation of Joel for many, many years. I think I've been here, Joel, many, many times, too many times, including this past Friday. And in fact, Rabbi Sarah mentioned the other day, she said, Frank, when I came here, you were one of the very first to welcome me to Carmel. So I'm happy with that. Rabbi Hammerman before her. And so I've been involved in the community. I look forward to another 4 years on the town board. Looking forward to staying within and working with the community, everything that I've done before. And I'm very, very happy to be here today, and I look for your support and working with you in the next 4 years. Thank
you. Next is the candidate also for the Carmel Town Board, Jerome Mitchell.
Good morning, everyone. As you said, my name is Jerome Mitchell. I'm running for town board. I'm new to the community. The reason why I'm running for town board, because like many in our community, I'm troubled by a lot of the persistent issues that plague the community. For example, there's issues like Swan Cove, matters regarding, as we know, when it rains, it floods and it causes havoc for the local businesses. Issues regarding our contract bidding process, and most importantly, which concerns me, is the stagnation regarding infrastructure development. So what I have here is this is the comprehensive town plan for Carmel. This plan was first created in 1980, then amended in 2000 and amended in 2020. I surmise it probably cost the town over $100,000 to create this plan. Now, I don't know who has read this plan. I've read this plan. It is a really good plan. I mean, it's a wish list for Democrats and Republicans. It has a lot of great stuff in here. If you can indulge me for a minute, like there's talks about issues of sustainability, sustainability through green initiatives, infrastructure. That's something as simple as changing light bulbs in the town buildings, which can give us credits and save money. There's calls for updating zoning application process to make it more in line with the New York State town law. That decreases the number of lawsuits we have. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here which will really help the town grow and increase the infrastructure, make it more, increase business development and a lot of growth. What does concern me, though, is this plan is 42 years old. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe there's been any action taken on this plan. And that's something that we should all be concerned with. So I submit to you that I am uniquely qualified to start moving this plan forward. I'm an attorney with over 20 years of experience in corporate law and IP law. I've negotiated multi-million-dollar contracts with corporations and television networks in the United States. I've managed a $500 million technology transfer agreement with a U.S. company and an international company. And if elected, I would make this plan my priority. Obviously, it's good to balance the budget, to increase the budget, to fill in potholes, and that sustains the town. But we need to grow the town. We need to make it the crown jewel of Putnam County, and that's what I plan to do if I'm elected to the board. Thank you.
Next candidate for town council, Robert Carnes.
Good morning. My name is Robert Kearns. Excuse me, I'm recovering from a cold recently. I'm 31 years old. I have two small children in the community. My son's 5 and my daughter's 2. I moved to Mahopac about 4 years ago. I'm a veteran. I served 8 years in the United States Navy. I did several combat tours overseas. The second I got to Mahopac, I wasted no time. I jumped in and became an active member of the community. I coach, I'm the head football coach for the MSA football program. I've been the 8th grade football coach now for 4 years. I coach 16U baseball as well as T-ball and run the kindergarten flag football clinic. I serve on the board at our local VFW and as well as our American Legion. Something that really sticks with me is our youth. You know, Mahopac is growing every day, and the lack of amenities for our youth is something that I really want to drive home. Jerome also talked about infrastructure. There's no secret. We are stuck we're stuck in the past. We need to update our infrastructure. Assemblyman Matt Slater and I went door to door last week, and that is the number one topic that residents keep bringing up is the lack of commercial development within Carmel. Right now, the state is currently holding about $15 million in aid to update infrastructure. That's something that I would like to see brought to Carmel, to this Route 6 corridor, add sewer so we could bring in and promote commercial economic growth. That's about it. Thank you.
And now, candidate for town council also, Kathy Valletta.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. First, I would like to say my heart is with Israel. I can't even speak about it. I offer my condolences, and let's just all hope that our people. Let's just hope that we resolve this with minimal tearing apart the whole region. Okay, I'm good. I was born in Hell's Kitchen. Some people say that it's still inside me. I left Hell's Kitchen and was raised on Long Island in Hempstead. When I got married, my husband, his brother, moved up to Mahopac because he was a podiatrist, and it was an underserved community. And so they would forgive his student loans if he opened a medical practice up here. So he was a podiatrist that moved into the Paritsky building. If anyone knew the Paritsky building, it's on 6N. And Dr. Paritsky was across the hall from us. And I went to law school at Hofstra on Long Island. And And I had one of the 5 rooms across from Dr. Paritsky's dental practice. And my husband had his podiatry practice there. We shared a secretary. And our kids were in those little things that you run up and down with a tray. And they ran up and down the hall. So I fell in love with Putnam County. It was great. I got to work here, and I got to raise my kids here. My 2 daughters, one of them still lives here. And her children, my grandchildren are here. My grandson, he plays for the Kent White Sox. And I'm going to use this reference. I'm not really sure that it's right, but my son-in-law said I could use it. He's the Sammy Sosa of his team. He gets up to bat and cracks it somewhere between the outfielder and the fence. And then he gets all the way to first base because he doesn't run. He can't run. So anyway, anyone else can get to third base, but Nathan gets to first base. But more importantly is my granddaughter, and she's not more important than him, but here's the important part. She swims for the newly created Putnam Valley Mahopac Carmel girls varsity swim team. It's a team that's comprised of those 3 schools because they've got it right. They know that causeway that's over there means nothing. The town of Carmel is the town of Carmel. It's bigger than just the hamlet of Mahopac or the hamlet of Carmel or Red Mills. It's all of us. And that's where the strength of the town of Carmel is. Last year I ran for assembly, and I knocked on 1,200 doors. And people knocking for me knocked on a bunch more. It was really enlightening because before that, I mostly met people in Putnam County when they came in my office, and I represented them. I represented them in real estate, in wills, in getting their elderly parents services, in divorce actions, in all sorts of things. And Putnam County came into my office. Last year, I went out and met Putnam County. And I heard a lot of stuff from them. They each had a different song. They each had a different story. But mostly they felt like they were different enclaves, and they really didn't come in to one group, to the town of Carmel. I think that's important to know. I also worked for the town of Carmel and the county of Putnam on a zillion charity things. I worked for the Women's Center. I was on the social ministry committee of Trinity Lutheran Church. If you look back on a lot of 501c3s, you see my name. I made the paperwork on that. I am a board member of the Mental Health Association in the county of Putnam. What else did I do? I've been on school board committees, and on the school board committees, I find it really interesting that the town of Carmel isn't all there. I find it interesting that our local government doesn't step up. There's incidents of anti-Semitism and racism and all these other things where they have committees come together and talk about what we could do. But we don't see government people there. I don't understand why. I see people from Kent. I see people from Putnam Valley. I see people from Brewster. That causeway, they don't come over there. I don't know why. But I'm there, and I'm taking notes. And what I want to say is, if you elect me, I'm going to be everywhere because the town of Carmel is all of us. And there's so many beautiful things in it. You can't believe it. There's really nice places here. And I'd like to represent all of you. Thank you.
This is a write-in candidate for Highway Superintendent of the Town of Carmel, Mike
Thank you.
Stern.
First off, thank you, Joel, and the rabbi for hosting me. My name is Mike Stern. I'm going as a write-in candidate for the Town of Carmel Highway Superintendent. Again, just wanted to thank you guys for having us today and for hosting this. I was born and raised in Mahopac. My family's got roots in the community for close to 70 years. I have 2 boys right now. They're 11 and 13, going through the Mahopac schools. I Went through the Mahopac schools myself, then went to the University of Florida, where I had a degree in Bachelor of Science, in facility management, recreation, parks, and tourism. Community ties, I got heavily involved at 26 years old. I was diagnosed with cancer and became involved big time with the Relay for Life, where we raised over $300,000 in about a 5-year period, myself and my wife and our team. And that was really about 4 years ago, 2 of my friends and myself started up the Mahopac Wolves. It's a not-for-profit youth baseball organization. We had roughly between 50 and 80 kids at a time in the program. And they're all, just all Mahopac residents and who's choosing not to play if they don't want to play on the Mahopac Sports Association themselves. It's another outlet. I coached St. John's CYO for basketball. Let's start this way. My father was the first grade at this St. John's, and then I followed. My brothers and I and my family all went through St. John's. Why a write-in? Okay, that's a question I get all the time. Why would I want to do this as a write-in, or why? What the process has become? My boss withdrew at a very late time in the game, so the Republican Party chose to not put anybody up against the candidate I'm going against. And by default, he got the primary and is on the Republican and conservative line. From day one, said I was going to go no matter which way, whether it be write-in or on the ballot. So I had to go out and get 725 signatures for an independent line. And I think I had about 10 or 11 days. I came in with 1,700. Okay, we really worked very hard to get those signatures and get out there and meet people. Again, having community roots for 70 years, we know a lot of people here, and that helps out a lot. Okay. The day they were due at the Board of Elections, they said as long as there was no objections by that evening, I was on the ballot. There was no objections. The next day, I was provided a beautiful email saying you've been disqualified because they didn't receive a certificate of acceptance, okay, which is just a piece of paper with my name, the line I created, and a notary, and that was mailed in the day after I handed them in. They just conveniently never got it. So I was kicked off. I sued the Board of Elections, and 5 weeks later, the Supreme Court, it ended up in the Supreme Court in White Plains. They put me back on the ballot, and within an hour, the county appealed that decision. I had to go to the appellate division in Brooklyn, and they overturned the Supreme Court, where I find myself back from square one as a write-in candidate. But not many people would go through the process I'm going through. That's what this job means to me. Okay, I've been at this highway department for 15 years. I know the ins and outs. I've been boots on the ground for hurricanes, floods, ice storms, windstorms, anything you can imagine. As far as a position like this, most people don't wake up and say, what is my highway department going to give me today? Right? Does anyone feel that way? No. What do you guys wait? We want to wake up and go to sleep having the safest roads possible. Right? Best infrastructure we can under our roads. Drainage, trees cut back, snowplow removal. Okay? That's the major things that you look for in a highway department. But it's emergency management and safety. That's what we're out there for. We're making sure that the police can get to their calls in the best way possible. The firemen can get to their calls, EMTs. My kids get to school safely. Your kids, your parents, your family members. That's what this job entails. It's not a job about giving freebies. Nothing's free. All right? Someone wants to offer free leaves. We're not equipped for that at the moment. It would cost millions in equipment. All right? We would need more manpower. Free firewood, it's a great gesture. Not possible. Not at the moment. Okay? It's just we don't take down that many trees to give out free firewood. All right? I was the assistant shop steward for the local 456. I negotiated the last 2 contracts in the walls, actually against Frank. Thank you.
Well, not against, but
Conversation.
I know what it's like on both ends of the spectrum. All right? I have to always see this job in my current position from the men. And if I take on the position, it'll still always be in favor of the men and doing what's right for the citizens and residents of the town, staying within our budget. That's the most important part. This is a $9.5 million budget. It is not a small job. Okay, it's a big part of the budget for the town, and it's very important. Okay, short-term goals. I'd like to reopen our recycling center. All right, I would like to kind of have a mix of Yorktown and Kent. That's my end goal inside. Yorktown is very organic. Kent has a true recycling center with plastics and it's hard to explain. They have so much up there. It's like a little Goodwill center. It's got a bunch of stuff. If you've never seen it or had the opportunity to go up and check it out, please do. All right. I'd like to create a town wash bay for our vehicles. Vehicles are becoming very expensive. When I started, I think they were around $150,000 to $180,000 for a six-wheeler. They're well over $300,000 now. All right. We have to protect these things as long as possible. Salt eats them alive, and if we don't have a wash bay to get them when it's 32 or below, the salt sits on these things, and they rot very quickly. We can get another 5 to 10 years out of our vehicles if we keep them properly washed, and we need a wash bay to do that indoors. I would like to streamline our communication process. That's one thing our highway department currently does not do very well, and that's through the social media sites, through Facebook, Instagram, and just on our town webpage, keeping everyone updated what's going on when we're out there doing storms, when we're out there, if there's an emergency, if there's power outages, trees down. Everyone should kind of be in line of what's going on in their town, and if we're doing work in their area, that's very important to know and give people a heads up to what's going on. All right. As a write-in candidate, this is something I think is very important for me to tell people, and that's my endorsements. All right. I'm endorsed currently by the current highway superintendent, Michael Simone. I'm endorsed by the local 456 Teamsters. I've been endorsed by Legislator Crowley, Legislator Elner, by the Westchester Putnam Building and Trades Council, all right, and by the Carmel Lieutenants Benevolent Association. Having these relationships means a lot to me, but it's also telling of potentially who I'm going against, and I will never badmouth Joe. It's not what I'm going to do, but it's telling people what's going on. As a write-in candidate, it's very hard to get endorsements, and these are a lot of our officials around town who have supported me. So I'm always going to do one thing, and that's work for everybody, right? That's working for the residents. That's what this job is about. So it's not that you do work for us, we work for you, and that's what I'll always keep in mind. All right, thank you very much.
Now we'll just have some questions for our panel up here now, so raise your hand. Oh, Wendy?
Beautiful lady in the back.
How do you write, can you explain the process of writing in your name, please?
Sure. Is that okay?
Sure.
On the bottom right-hand corner of this year's ballot is the highway superintendent line. I did not bring any ballot in here with me. I have it in the car, but it's simply in the bottom right-hand corner of this year's ballot. You don't make any other marks in that column, and you have to keep my name within the lines. And best idea is doing it with a pen, black or blue, no red ink. And they're going to tell you to use a Sharpie. Please don't, because it'll bleed outside the box and disqualify me. Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions for our council candidates? Yes.
Jerome, you said you're new to the community, but your wife isn't, is she?
No, yes. My wife, my wife, she went to Mahopac High School. She's familiar with the community. In fact, I was speaking with Joel before she actually interned at his office when she was 16 or something. And I said to her, I was like...
And now she's 17.
Yeah. well, I actually said... Well, I said to her, I was like, so how did you do? Because I'm going to see him on Sunday. And then she's like, I think it went well. So I'm going to talk to Joel later and see if what happens. But yeah, since I've come here, I love the community. I've met a lot of people. I speak to a lot of people in town. That was my motivation for, running. I've always been the type of person where I like to talk to people and learn their story. I find communicating and learning about people interesting because everyone has a different story. I mean, you could have a good day and then talk to someone and find out, they have a bad day and provide comfort. I mean, one of the things my wife dislikes about me is when we go somewhere, I'm always talking to someone behind the counter and she's like, all right, it's time to go. And, it's just a lot of fun to get to know, everyone in the community. And talk about common interests, talk about things that concern us, and that's what motivated me to run. Like I said, I feel like I have the acumen to get a lot of things done in this plan to make sure that the town works for the community and not for just a small segment of the community. I mean, everyone should have a voice in our town, so that's why I got involved.
Any other questions for the candidates? Yes? Jackie?
Just a quick question. Someone who's been on the town board and now a current supervisor, I just want to know, I know from experience how difficult it is to negotiate with Teamsters or with the CSEA or just in general with our general contractors like AAA. I'd like to know what your experience is and how you handle something like that.
Frank?
So while we're on the town board, we each get designated as liaisons to different parts of the town, whether it be the school districts or the highway department or the police department. From day one, I've been liaison to the police department and highway department. And we've negotiated contracts, okay? And Mike's right. We sat across the table many times dealing with contracts. Now, listen, I like and admire the people on the other side of the table for me, but my job is to protect the taxpayer, okay? And we've done that. We've had fair contracts with the highway department. We've had fair contracts with the police department. We've had struggles, okay? And part of what I do every day is I negotiate, okay? I'm a litigator. I'm a fighter. I fight in, you see those people have TV commercials, these big law firms, these big attorneys? I'm fighting against them. I know them all, okay? They don't want to go against me. I've negotiated the contract for AAA, the garbage company. And let me tell you something. We did it a couple of years ago, and I put into that contract something very, very unique, that they are against me. They don't like me for doing it, but I did it, and I made sure we did it. We had self-imposed penalties against AAA for, let's say they missed garbage pickup. We keep a list in the engineering department. And listen, we're all going to have a complaint here or there, but the persistent complaints, when we have persistent complaints, we impose a penalty. So when we get our bill, we deduct $1,000 or $2,000, whatever. And that was the Lombardi creation. I'm not going to lie to you, and it's true. And when I call now our engineering department and have a complaint, and they call AAA, and they know that the complaint was for me, it gets taken care of, okay? So you know, when people say we can open up contracts, you can't open up contracts. You have to know municipal law to open up contracts. And let me tell you something. Anybody who's doing a contract right now with a vendor, okay, and we did them a couple of years ago, before gas prices before materials skyrocketed. The next set of contracts, and I feel bad for my friends in Yorktown, they're paying a premium. They're paying a lot more than we did. And AAA keeps saying, oh, we want to negotiate our contract because prices went up. I'm holding the line. No, we're not doing that because the people of the town of Carmel deserve the contract price that we set. And we on the town board have continued to fight for every nickel for the town. And the highway department, we gave them fair raise increases. The police department, we gave them fair increases because you know what? Most of them, if not all of them, live in our town. And we want them to, you know, continue to live in our town, to raise their families in town, and spend their money here in town. So I've been a fighter, I've been a litigator, I do that, and Mike will tell you that it was not easy going because they have their points that they want to get across and what they want, and we have to do the same thing on behalf of the 37 to 40,000 people here in the town of Carmel. Okay? Thank you.
Yes, Tom?
Mention was made before of the relationship between our town governments and the school board. Your school board, is that part of the town of Carmel? Is that part of your town? I grew up in Putnam County. I grew up in Roaring Lake. You know where Roaring Lake
Oh,
is?
of course.
Okay. Since 1959, we had no contact with anybody in our school. I'll be here on this side of the county. Are you going to maintain contact with the town, the school board? Are you going to be afraid to be with them and take care of the things that show up in the paper that are not complimentary?
Yes. So here, the town government is one entity and the school district is another entity. They are two separate, well, you can shake your head, but it's the
I'm
fact.
shaking my head. You both all live here.
No, but let me just explain. No, that they're two separate entities in terms of they're run, the school district is run by a school board, and they have a vote for their budget, and the town, we don't get involved in the runnings of the school board or the schools, and they don't get involved in running the towns because they can't. They have no legal right to do so, and neither do we. Now I'll tell you this, and Joe will tell you straight on, anytime there's been an incident of anti-Semitism, racism, who is the first one in that room talking about it? When Joel calls me, Joel, have I ever said no to you?
No, of course not.
I've been here, I've been at different school districts and talking about what I think is the right thing, okay? And I've been with this temple more times than anybody else on this dais. And it's because of my affinity for Joel, it's my affinity for many of the constituents that come here. Beautiful Wendy will attest to that as well. Yes, yes. So there is a difference between a school district and a town government in terms of the operation of it. We don't control what they do and they don't control what we do. It's part of the state constitution.
I understand from a legal standpoint.
It's not legal.
I'm not talking about legal.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the milieu. I'm talking about making sure that the resource officers are on the premises, in the school. I'm talking about courses that should be mandated by the school board and then and substantially said something about by the town board to make sure that courses in ethics and courses in discrimination are given in our schools. That's where they should be given. You can't just go, oh, it's not our responsibility.
I'd like to speak to that.
Go ahead.
I think it's important for the grown-ups to stand up and be counted. I think it's important for our leaders to stand up, vigils, be out there, be public about this is wrong. Be public about we stand with the people that you are saying terrible things about. Put your arm around the people that are being discriminated against. Stand up and say, this is a horrible thing. I'm not going to have the SRO in the school be the one that tells these kids. I'm not going to have the sheriff's department stands up and says it. He's not in the school district. The sheriff's department stands up and chastises these people and is in the paper saying this is horrible. Why aren't our local officials standing up and saying, this is horrid. This is absolutely horrid. We need to have all of the adults in the room stand up and say, we will not abide. We will not abide by this nonsense. That's what has to happen.
So, to touch on what Kathy just said, like I said earlier, I coach 8th grade football. About a month ago, my players had brought a situation that was going on at school up to my attention. Like Frank said, they're two separate entities. We don't control the school board, they don't control the town board. But there should be a working partnership. I did pick up the phone and I made a phone call to one of the elected school board members and notified them of the situation, and they were able to handle the situation right there on the spot. So I do agree there has to be a working situation or a working relationship, but they are separate entities.
Yeah, I'm going to say something.
Quickly, yeah, because we have to go.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and to that point, though, we have to be careful that there's not a political motivation with these things. So when we first came, well, my son had an incident last year where someone called him the N-word at the middle school. My wife's experience when she was here, when she was younger, where there wasn't necessarily the support she needed. What was amazing is that the students got behind and they spoke to the kid who made this remark and said it's not good. The principal came on board. It was a collective effort. So what I suspect is, that's something that's learned by the parents. Kathy touched upon it, by our leaders. I mean, obviously there's no official action that can happen, but as a leader, if you're standing there and you're saying this is not right, then other people will follow. And I think that's probably what, like as Kathy said, we need to do. Thank you.
Last word. All you got to do is look at photos and news stories from incidents and forums that we've had right here in this building. I've been there.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much to the Carmel group, and group number 2 should come up now.